To be perfectly honest, I often create videos titled things like how to stay motivated on cold winter days because I'm feeling like I could use the encouragement. Like in many parts of the US, the weather here has been bitter cold this week. Even our normally cozy house has been chilly as the furnace and the fire struggle to keep up with the -30 wind chill. Even though there is plenty to be doing, all I want to do is sit by the fire and drink tea, maybe read a book. Outside chores feel like pure torture, and I put them off as much as I can and feel grateful that my kids handle most of the outdoor things this time of year. While I love the outdoors in warm weather, I tend to hibernate in winter. As I was trying to think up ways to keep myself motivated and productive this week, I thought I'd share in hopes that it might help someone else as well. Along the way, I'll share a few recipes that our family has been loving on these cold winter days. Number 1, the mom reward system. I know it sounds immature, but it totally works to make up rewards for my efforts. For example, when I knew I had to go out in the cold to milk the cow, I promised myself a warm bath with tea when I got in. It worked. During the day, I might tell myself that if I get the floors mopped, I'm going to not feel guilty for sitting down with tea and a book for a bit. I cannot drink coffee, not even decaf, and actually even hot cocoa is too much caffeine, so I have found a love of tea, which I used to think that I didn't like. I still don't like the traditional peach or lemon ginger or things like that, but I have found and created some that are more robust in flavor and that I actually enjoy drinking. My favorite is this hazelnut tea, and it tastes actually a lot like coffee without the bitter taste, so I'm a big fan. But today I decided to try my chai tea concentrate recipe, and instead of black tea, I substituted the hazelnut tea. It turned out amazing, and I will definitely be making it again. If you want the recipe, I'll leave it in the description. Okay, number 2. Another way to keep myself motivated is to force myself into a little physical exercise. I guess the scientific theory that says an object in motion stays in motion applies to moms too. I talked about this in my morning sickness video, but I think it applies here as well. It can be hard to stay active when you can't go outside, but I do own an exercise bike that hasn't seen use in a while, so I gave it a whirl and felt so much better after. If you don't have any exercise equipment, try running up and down the stairs for a few minutes, or even finding a workout on YouTube and doing it in your living room. Anything to get your heart rate up. Number 3, drink a ton of water and electrolytes. One reason I can feel extra tired in the winter is that I get dehydrated easily. I think it's the cold, dry air on top of the wood stove roaring around the clock, drying the air out. So something that helps me is carrying around water all day long. I add electrolytes and other supplements to mine for an extra boost. I always forget how much dehydration can make you feel exhausted and unwell until I actually drink water and feel the difference. Number 4, plan for spring and summer. This could look like planning a trip you plan to take in the summer, or planning your garden and ordering seeds like I decided to do this week. And these are all activities that can be done while curled up by the fire, but they are also necessary and productive, so I consider it a win-win. If you need help designing a garden, I go through my exact process in this video, and I will link it below. I have found that allowing myself this time to just slow down and dream and plan is something that is necessary for me in this season. I think the problem I face with doing this can be that I don't want to then get back up and come out of dreamland, though a solution to this is setting boundaries for yourself. So, for example, I might say, while the baby naps today, I'm going to just sit and plan the garden. That way you don't get just stuck in couch potato mode. Number 5, take the opportunity to focus on a big indoor project you have been putting off. I have been badly neglecting my mending pile to the point where if I tell the kids, go put it in my mending pile, they say, well, I won't see that again. So this weather was a great excuse to tackle the pile. Maybe for you, it's a room that needs organized or a half-completed project that's been laying around. Now is the time. For you, maybe the project isn't something you have to do, but something you've been wanting to do that you can never seem to find the time for, like an online course or learning to sew. You could even pair up a few of these ideas I've listed by giving yourself a mom reward. If you get the mending pile done, you can take that online sewing class you've been wanting to do, or whatever that looks like for you. Another project I was putting off was canning this venison. It had been cubed and frozen during hunting season, and now I just need to thaw it out and can it. This is just one of the bags that I thawed out. There are more in the fridge, so I'm just going to do it in batches throughout this week. If you have never canned meat before, it is extremely easy. It's mostly just a time commitment, so a perfect activity for when you know you won't be going anywhere. The basic process is to simply add cubed meat to clean jars up until the neck of the jar. Push down a bit, but don't pack it too tight. I could have packed these a little bit more here, but I was trying for more jars. And a little salt if you'd like. Here I'm adding a half teaspoon to each quart jar. Add lids and rings and process in a pressure canner for 90 minutes for quarts. And I'm not going to go into the details of how to pressure can in this video, but I do plan on doing a full tutorial soon. Canned meat is so nice to have on hand, especially for nights that you just don't feel up to making a big meal. You can dump meat into a stew and make a really quick stew, or we actually have a whole host of recipes that we use our canned meat in. On this night, I was making pizza bread with pesto that I took out of the freezer and just some French bread. So it's as simple as melting some butter on the top, toasting it a little bit, smothering it in some pesto, adding some canned chicken, a little cheese, toasting, and ta-da, you have dinner. Number 6, be the fun mom. Okay, hear me out. I am probably not the world's funnest mom. If we have a day without plans, I tend to want to fill it with chores. But I know that one thing that can keep us feeling down or unmotivated is the stress caused by kids being stuck indoors. With the cold temperatures we had this week, the kids couldn't go out for more than about 10 minutes at a time. So no skating or skiing or basically anything fun outside. I decided to pop popcorn, make a few fun things in the kitchen with the kids, and play board games with the kids, and this brightened everyone's mood, including my own. One of the fun winter treats we like to make is marshmallow fluff and Crockpot hot cocoa. This hot cocoa recipe is definitely not as healthy as our regular version, but the kids really enjoy it as a special treat. This is also a really fun recipe to bring if you're going to a potluck or visiting somewhere. It's always a big hit. To make it, first heat up a cup of milk until hot but not boiling, and then whisk in 1/4 cup of unsweetened cocoa powder. Set that aside. Then to the crock pot add 5 cups of whole milk, 2 cups of heavy whipping cream, 14 ounces of sweetened condensed milk, 2 teaspoons vanilla, and 2 cups of semi-sweet chocolate chips. Finally, pour in the cup of milk with the dissolved cocoa powder and whisk well. Turn the crock pot on low and whisk every few minutes as it heats up and the chocolate melts. After about 30 minutes, you can just go back and stir it every once in a while. In about an hour and a half to 2 hours, or after it's hot and fully incorporated, it's ready to serve. You can make this ahead of time and then just switch it over to keep warm. We usually switch it to keep warm at this point, and then we can just enjoy it for the afternoon. The marshmallow fluff is a recipe I got from Jessica over at Three Rivers Homestead, although I did make mine a little less healthy. The original recipe says to add 3 tablespoons of gelatin to 1 cup of hot water in a stand mixer. Let it sit for a few minutes, then turn on the mixer with the whisk attachment on and whisk for a few minutes until the gelatin is well dissolved and it begins to thicken. Then her recipe calls for either 1 cup of maple syrup or 1 cup of honey. I'm sensitive to natural sweeteners. They spike my blood sugar too much, and I really wanted to top my drink with this, so I just did a cup of powdered sugar instead, but feel free to use your sweetener of choice. Then turn the mixer on high until it fluffs up. It will look like it's not going to come together, but just give it a little time and I promise it will. Finally, add in 1 teaspoon of vanilla. This is so much better than store-bought marshmallows because it doesn't dissolve too quickly, you can control what goes into it, you get the added health benefits of the gelatin, and it still tastes amazing. On this day, we also made my favorite almond flour chocolate chip cookies. These are just almond flour, salt, baking soda, honey, coconut oil, and vanilla. You can even make them dairy-free if you use dairy-free chocolate chips, which you can find from Azure Standard. So these are one of those delicious treats that I can feel pretty good about feeding the kids as well. I'll leave the link to the full recipe below. On another one of these cold days, we actually got a little snow and we were able to make some snow ice cream. This is always a fun treat for the kids to make, and it's so easy. The kids just go out and fill their bowls with fresh, clean snow. We always make sure to specify clean, And then you just add a little cream, a little sugar, and a splash of vanilla, and then mix it up. We don't measure here, we just adjust as we go, but it always turns out great. Another fun family activity that we enjoy later in winter is planting seeds indoors. It always feels good to dig in the dirt again and get things growing, even when there's still snow on the ground. We're not planting here yet, but I'm looking forward to it. I will be planting onions soon, and I'm even getting my seedling rack set up in my basement. Okay, that's all of the ideas I could come up with today, but if you have additional ideas, please leave them in the comments below because I'm sure we could all benefit. Also, make sure to come back here on Tuesday for week 2 of the Ditch the Grocery Store Challenge videos, and we are tackling sourdough next week. Have a wonderful weekend, friends.